Phil did these ching chong bing bong jokes, and whatever. I'm not one of those people that's offended by them. You can find them unfunny, fine, but I'm not gonna put any stock into the fact that you're offended by it. Fuck off. But especially
when Dear Girl was running around saying that all gamers are all white supremacists, did you take any offense to that? Because if you did, shouldn't you have just gone ahead and fuck off with that if you took any stock into it? I'm just wondering. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, just a thing, right? Because, if someone does say something that's offensive to Asians, why would that bother you? Just like those supposed black friends that you hang around with, if someone ran up and called them the N-word, why would that offend you? You know what I'm saying? But then it's funny how the outrage come out when someone who's white calls other white people racist. That seems strange. Shouldn't you just brush that off? Right? Like, what was the name of the girl? The girl that Rich from ViewTech USA was fucking defending. She said something about kill and burn all the Jews, and no one had nothing to say about that. But when she said fuck the N-words and shit and sit there and deal with it, she thought that shit was funny, and everybody else was telling everybody to cool off, like it's no big deal, give her a pass. Huh. But when she said this thing about Jews, no one had anything to say, and everybody was quick to sweep that under the rug. It doesn't matter. Anyway, whatever. There's a bunch of extra added on to that shit too. But here's the thing. Okay, so back to Jeremy. So the fact that the piece of shit in front of you has said racist shit about multiple people don't bother you, and if you get offended by it, fuck off. All right, fair enough. Whatever. But yet again, when Dear Girl was talking her hot shit, didn't you make a video on that? And didn't you seem to have a problem with it? Or what? I know Aston Gold had a problem with it, which is funny because he got caught saying all kinds of shit on Twitter when they ran through his timeline. But he's different now. That was a long time ago, and whatever bullshit excuses he had to go along with that. I don't know. There's just a level of hypocrisy with this shit. At the end of the day, like, here's the thing. Take whatever you're gonna be, whatever's said the way you're gonna be said. At the end of the day, it is what it is. At the end of the day, if someone's gonna call me the N-word, you're gonna go ahead. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you have the right to free speech. With that being said, if I call you a racist, don't get mad and start crying and complaining about how, his life's gonna be fucked up if you label him as a racist. Oh, you didn't have a problem with him labeling people of color as this, and this. You know what I'm saying? But you're mad that he gets labeled as a racist? I'm not running over and trying to take that shit to his job or to his school or anything like that. He said it here. This is where I'm keeping it. If other people hear it and come up with the same conclusion I came up with, whose fault is that? And then running and complaining about, he's just trying to be edgy, give him a break. Give him a break for what? Clean up your own shit before you start talking about anybody else. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying really, really hard to normalize that word for whatever reason. I don't understand it and whatnot, but then when people run around call y'all white supremacists, for example, or call you guys racist and shit, everybody has a problem. I never really understood that. Like, here's the thing. If you think I'm an asshole or a piece of shit or whatever, then just call me that. But for whatever reason, people like Darkside Phil, people like the Quartering, allegedly, like jumping on race instead. That spells more of a problem with y'all than me. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about people who the first thing they say when they get mad, it runs the race? That no one ever thinks there's an issue with that? Ain't that strange? No one ever brings that up. Everybody's quick to defend it, but no one ever really thinks about that. No one ever thinks that, if you got to go down to blunt, low fucking common denominator jokes about race, that maybe you're not funny. And maybe you're trying real hard to relate to something that people don't generally want to relate to anymore. You ever thought about that? Everybody wants to go back, the old comedians used to do that shit and whatever. You want to know why they did that? Because they were funny. Because those jokes were relatable. It didn't come across like what seems like just blatant ignorance for some dumbass that's looking for a chuckle. That's the difference. When comedians used to do that shit, it sound funny. But not only did it sound funny, but it was somewhat relatable. Everybody in that room could have a laugh about that, even if it was at your expense. Comedians now who try to pull that shit, it's not funny. It's blatantly not funny. It's very obvious. That's why you have comedians now that have to run through PR before they make jokes. I think that's kind of crazy. I think it's kind of crazy that you have to go through you got to fleece your jokes through somebody else to find out if they're PC. I think that's kind of silly, but that is what that is. But when you get ass clowns like Phil Burnell up here talking their dumb shit, he doesn't get a pass on that. Like, why should he? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you guys want to defend Phil because you guys think you're defending, like, the overall argument, right? And you're not. You're just defending you're defending a legit racist piece of shit at the end of the day. And, take that for whatever you will, whether you believe it or not, or whether you agree with it or not. But that's what's going on. That's what the situation is. That's why he hasn't changed. That's why we get into this tendency now he has when he sees dark people on screen, he's sitting there going ahead and chomping on his hooves. Want to know why that is? Because that's a compulsion. He's compelled to say something. And it's more than likely going to be disparaging, and it's going to come across bad. And that's him trying to catch himself before he says it. That's a compulsion. He's driven to do that. And I remember when people started pointing that out at first, everybody thought, oh, it was a joke and everything. There's people in the tractor community, I won't name names, who try to brush that shit off until it started happening a lot more. And then those same people were like, oh, wow. Damn, he really does have an issue with that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he will, moving forward. At the end of the day, call it what you want. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but that's what you're dealing with. If you're not comfortable with talking about it, then don't. If you're not comfortable with talking about it, then don't. But don't defend it either.